Hello, my name's Paul-Beckett, and today I wanted to speak a little bit about the personality, and we call that the ego sometimes as well. Um, it took me like a minute to get my head around the fact that everything I thought I was, I'm actually not. And that seems like a really big earth-shattering, like, oh my God, what are you? You're left like not knowing who you are, like you just like, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. And it was gradual. I had a very sudden understanding with my self-realization that the person I had been being wasn't me. I realized that I'd been acting. I realized that what I was calling my personality was just a set of like conditioned beliefs. It was habits. It was expectations that other personalities had put onto me. It was assumptions that I'd made. It was the product of different experiences. And it was just kind of like this multi-layered thought form that became a character. And this character had some nice qualities, because we always want to go, oh, the ego, do you know what I mean? Like, get rid of the ego, blah, blah, blah. The character had some really nice qualities. And the character also had some horrific qualities. And you know what? They were all as equally unreal as each other. And it's a real funny one because leading up to my self-realization, I had a couple of experiences. You could call them deep meditative experiences, or I don't know. Um, but I remember saying the word to myself, an ego death, and I wasn't spiritual. I wasn't at all into anything like this before this, happened to me. Does it happen? I don't know. Um, but I had a couple of experiences where I just lost myself, but realized that there was something still there. And in one of those experiences particularly, I remember not even having language. I remember not even having language, and there was no thought. But without there being an internal dialogue, there was just this knowing of I am, and I'm okay, and all is okay, and all is good. Whereas in the ego's hands, that experience must have been would have been petrifying if I'd have come at that through my rational mind. I'd have through my intelligence, I'd have been like, why God, what's going on? Da, 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 But it didn't feel like that. It felt so natural. It felt like a coming home. It felt like a taking off of imagine being like an actor in a play that had just been 24/7. How knackered you would be of keeping up this facade, this mask. Just felt like, oh my God, it felt so nice not to be in that costume. That's how it felt. But I understand when I'm telling this experience that to a lot of people, it probably sounds like it could be scary. It was the exact opposite. So when I did these were in the weeks leading up to my realization these strange things were happening, and I didn't have an explanation for them. And the funny thing was, I just accepted it. I didn't tell people about it. I think I thought that I had a health issue. I think behind when these little episodes were over, these episodes of just complete non-identification, I think my mind would kick back in and tell me that I had some kind of mental health issue or stroke. Stroke was a big one that I was always thinking. Every time something happened that I couldn't explain, my mind used to want to tell me I'd had a stroke. Um, but come the day of self-realization, when the knowing actually came over me as well, I wasn't just free of the personality, not identified with the body. I had this knowing that wasn't a thought. It wasn't an internal dialogue. It felt like a remembering. And it was like, oh gosh, I remember what I am now. I know what I am. And it was so funny to me because I was like, I've always known what I am. Why have I been pretending that I don't know? And then all of a sudden, I was joining the dots. I was like, these experiences I've been having have just been me being at my most natural self. There was nothing scary about it. There was nothing lost. In fact, if anything, it was a total gain. So from realizing my true nature, there's been so many facets of the Paul character that I was just able to let go. most of the really heavy stuff, really, really able to let go because I just didn't identify with it anymore. A lot of the preferences, a lot of the things the limitations, I said to myself, oh, I love this, I hate that. Oh, I can do this, I can't do that. I was like, why was I making it like a cage for myself? Because that's what the personality felt like. It felt like I'd made myself a cell and then told myself that that was the amount of space I had and that's where the walls were and I wasn't allowed out of it. That's how my personality started to feel. Now, obviously, I'm still in the world. Obviously, I'm still dealing with people. I'm a teacher. I deal with, hundreds of people a day. So I'm interacting a lot. And you go, well, how would you do that without relying on the personality? Now, don't get me wrong, the personality still crops up. Of course it does, because it's habit. It's just conditioning. So sometimes I can easily slip into the habit of being Paul. And like I say, some of Paul's programs and some of Paul's patterns were not difficult to navigate at all. And in fact, they were, people liked it, and some of them were terrible. So it's kind of like now I have the option to step into the character when it serves me. And sometimes it does save you. Sometimes it really does save me. I'm in a social situation or I'm in something, and I go, this is the time for me just to slip into Paul for a little while. It seems like the most natural way to interface with the situation in front of me. So it's almost like using then the personality like a tool afterwards, like a mask that I can put on and off. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't want to wear it for too long because it's sticky. You can forget you're wearing it once it's on. Do you know what I mean? All of a sudden, then you believe the mask is you again. But it's something that I've found myself able to step in and step out of. Having said that, what I wanted to say was I was speaking to a friend this week, and we were talking. She's also self-realized. She's been going through some issues where she was kind of measuring herself against other people's stories and what information she was finding online, and wondering, is she self-realized enough? Which is a really easy trap that you can fall into, so easy, because there's enough information online now that the mind can start to build like a little profile of what it believes a proper self-realized person should be like. And there's no proper way to do it. Do you know what I mean? It's we're all untangling our own knots. And our personality, our programming, our conditioning was all completely different. So it's gonna untangle slightly differently for each of us. I'm certain of that. I'm absolutely certain of that. I don't think there's anything like cookie cutter about the way this happens. So I think we can often, like I say, I wasn't spiritual before, so I wasn't watching these videos. I had not heard of self-realization. So I actually feel like I spared myself the thing of looking at it, thinking that's a goal or that's something to achieve or this is the way to do it. And then kind of seeing the people that I see online as kind of like, a little bit of hero worship or something like they were something more than me maybe, or they had something more than me, because that's not the case. I know in my true nature I have nothing more than you have. I have less because I let go of the illusion of what I thought I was. So it's not a gain. It's not a gain in that way. Like, don't get me wrong, you gain access to the facets of your true nature, which for me has have been like joy, have been peace, freedom, a real abounding sense of freedom, um, like a compassion, things like that. But I was able to let go of the parts of me that I was like, oh, I was just holding these concepts to myself. I'm like this. My mum told me I was like that. The kids in school told me I was like this. This experience made me feel like I'm more like this. And I just realized I've been heaping all of these things in my little trolley and just building up like this house of cards, which was like a lifetime project. I was just balancing this on top of that, on top of that. And it was so, I think I always knew it was so fragile as well. I think that's why we get so defensive when we feel like we're being challenged, because I think we on some level know that the personality that we've built up is this really, really delicate, fragile, vulnerable house of cards that's ready to fall down at any time, because it's not real. It's just opinion. It's just a build-up of opinions that you're piling one on top of another, on top of another, on top of another, and saying, that's me. And the entire world's doing it. The entire world's doing it. Okay, I did it, and like I say, I've still got access to fall into the Paul character because he's so familiar. It's like putting on a really, really comfy slipper. I know him so well. I know him so well that it's easy that sometimes, like I say, in a lot of the in the state that I tend to be in a lot, sometimes in a busy social situation, I I don't know. I fear that that people might not be able to relate to me, and maybe that again might be an ego thing, maybe or maybe because fear isn't of our true nature. But me sitting there blissed out, not really feeling like I need to contribute to the conversation, doesn't exactly make for a great pal to go to the pub with, or do you know what I mean? Sometimes I go, oh, now's the time to be Paul again, just for a little while, just for a little while. And while I'm consciously wearing the mask, it feels like I am wearing him. I'm wearing him, as opposed to the other way around, where it felt like he was wearing me. That makes I don't know. I don't know whether I'm saying that right. But it became my personality has become a tool that I can dip into and dip out of. And I can sometimes feel like I'm 100% in control of this. And I think, and then remember that I haven't took it off. That's happened. Why do I feel like this? Why do I feel confined? Why am I getting these anxious thoughts? And I'm like, oh, I'm still being Paul. Oh, there you go. Oh, shake him off, shake him off. So yeah, the right way to be self-realized, that's what I was about to say, wasn't it? The right way to be self-realized, there isn't one. There isn't one. And looking at things online and kind of placing it above yourself, imagining that like we're like these little superheroes or something. 'Cause sometimes I get emails, my emails underneath the video. I welcome people to get in touch, but sometimes there's an element of like, oh, and I'm like, We've done all that before. We've done that with gurus, and we've done that with the cult of Christianity, and we've done that with all of the religious dogma that we've got, that I must be less than this. You're not less. You are exactly that. You are exactly that. There is no hierarchy. There's no hierarchy here. What we are, there is only one, and it's the same. But yeah, are we in different life situations? Of course we are. Are we in different shapes and sizes? Of course we are. Do all these shapes and sizes that we seem to be inhabiting have their own stories? And do some of those stories seem preferable to others? Of course they do. But beneath all of that, there is just this oneness that has been completely untouched by the story, by the conditioning, by the experiences. It's not been bruised or stained or sustained any kind of injury or trauma from that, because we all want to talk about our trauma, don't we? This is also a buzzword, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying trauma doesn't exist. Of course it does. People have been through some horrific things and continue to go through some horrific things, but we identify with it that much that we become our trauma. It becomes another layer on top of the character, and a really, really seductive one to hold on to, because um, the victim costume is one that the ego absolutely loves, loves it, loves it. How hard done by am I is like the ego's favorite thing to think to itself. Again, I don't want to negate anybody's lived experiences. I know that people go through hard times. I know that things have happened which, you know, must be absolutely horrific to live through. So please don't take this like I'm sitting in an ivory tower saying, oh, just get over these things that have happened to you. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is be conscious of the fact that it's another card that you add onto your little house of cards, and build it even higher. This lifetime project of yours that you're calling a personality. So yeah, I just wanted to jump on today and talk about that a little bit, because it's something that I have been noticing lately. Like I say, I work in a school. So I need to deal with a lot of different people, and sometimes me being in this absolutely blissed out state mood, what isn't the most appropriate mode of experience to deal with the situation. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I need to be like, oh, right back in the person. Okay, what's it? I can be more I don't know whether the word would be analytical. When I'm sitting outside of the personality, there's like this expansive knowing, but it also comes with that everything's okay. And this everything okayness is blanket over whatever's happening in front of me. It's okay. But sometimes I need to be in the nitty-gritty of things, of just sorting things out and be able to speak to people in a way that they can understand. And so, yeah, sometimes the personality goes back on and it comes in really handy sometimes, but it's not something that I want to forget that I'm wearing, because I remember what that feels like. I remember that feeling of limitation. I remember that feeling of like of insufficiency, of not feeling good enough. I remember that feeling of like looking over my shoulder, like something's gonna happen, something bad's gonna happen, or I'm vulnerable, or I need to be on my guard. So it's not, it's, you know, it has some good points, some things that I can use from time to time, but it's not a place where I want to live. So if you could look at yourself, at the beliefs you hold of yourself, and go to yourself, where does that belief come from? Because you can trace it back like a little trail of breadcrumbs. Or, I believe this about myself because my parents really put this on me. I believe this about myself because of that relationship I had where this happened. I believe this about myself because of my school experience. I believe this about myself because of my education. It's just so much. We just lump all this stuff on ourselves. And to be without it before you've experienced being without it seems really, really scary. What would I be? I would be nothing. I would have lost myself. But you don't lose anything, you gain everything. You remember what you truly are. And it feels so good. So, just a quick one. Thought that I would share that with you today because it's something that I've been thinking about a fair bit, especially going back to school after the Christmas holidays, because over the Christmas holidays, I've been able to really not be a person. And all of a sudden, I'm right back in person mode sometimes. So I just wanted to let you know that I'm not sitting here in an ivory tower in this bliss state all the time. I'm still dealing with the world like you are, but there is a way to use the personality as a tool rather than have it be you, that mistake that it is me. So have a little think, and I hope you could maybe learn just at least to see some of those layers you've added to yourself, because you can't let yourself out of prison that you don't know you're in. So look at the ways that you're limiting yourself. Look at the beliefs you're holding, okay? And don't fight to keep that limitation. It's like you're in a prison cell, but the key to it was in your pocket all along, okay? You cannot, you're not in bondage. You can only hold something to yourself and say, I'm stuck. You're holding it there. Okay, so anyway, have a little think, and I love you. Bye.